Today on the news and why it matters, Hurricane Dorian, and the media makes it about Trump. Just live TV here. It's fine. It's Friday and we've got drinks. And making fun of AOC, because again, it's Friday and we have drinks. So why not? Don't miss it. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Mr. Handyman over here, Stu Bergier. Jason Howerton joins us again, social media guru of Blaze Media. And we have reformed Democrat Giancarlo Sopo on the show.
Good to be here again.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
How long have you been in recovery?
Well, yeah, it's been about a year now.
Stay strong. You can make it.
Yeah, getting better.
No, his story is really incredible. I know you guys want to hear about the news and stuff, but you were in Florida, got so much crap from your own party, from the Democrat Party, that you were just like, I've had it.
Yeah,
you guys are crazy.
And it made it very clear to me, like when I said socialism is where I draw the line, I'm more than happy to talk about social programs to like help poor people, but we're going to draw the line at socialism, and that people were like essentially calling me a Nazi. I said, all right, I'm done here.
I'm out.
So I just became an independent.
When you opposed socialism, they called you a national socialist?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is truth anyway?
Yeah, what is
Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so Hurricane Dorian is, of course, approaching, and they're saying it could be really, really bad. Everyone's bracing themselves. Of course, you do have I saw the former Canadian, what was it? Whatever she was, that said that she hoped that Mar-a-Lago was hit in the hurricane.
Very
so
nice.
that's good. That's
Terrible
good.
person. Like
Killing innocent people to own the cons. That's what I.
Right. I mean, can you imagine if Trump went out there and said something like that? But
kind of. I kind of can imagine it. Yes.
Can you imagine how he would be treated?
He would be treated very differently
if he said it.
obliterating a Democratic county to own the cons.
Yeah. Right, there you go.
Right?
Especially in a state that a presidential election turned on 530 votes or whatever it was. You probably don't want to wipe out your voters. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we have an award-winning journalist. I want to get to this tweet first before we play this lovely video of April Ryan. Award-winning journalist David Levitt, I guess he is. So you would think award-winning journalist. You would think knowledgeable, educated,
unbiased.
knows to look for truth. This is how he chose to take the hurricane story. He said, Trump says climate change is a hoax. Earth replies, here's a Category 4 hurricane with 130 mile per hour winds aimed right at Mar-a-Lago with my compliments. So a hurricane during hurricane season
He didn't say it was God that did it.
Yeah.
And then he'd be thrown. I mean, look, it's a joke, I guess, you know, at some level. But it's always fascinating to see that because you can't make the alternate joke. If you make the joke when, they're having a global warming rally and it starts snowing and you point it out, it says you're anti-science, but this is apparently completely okay. Mother Earth's tweet response.
Right. I mean, climate change, weather. What's the diff?
I know. And by the way, what was Mother Earth saying when they gave us 12 straight years with no hurricanes the entire time? That was kind of a big deal as well that they ignored.
I'm going to take it a different way because I think this shows something else. It's completely different. The left can't meme. They suck at memes. They suck at humor.
This would be your point because you are in the social media world. So
and you know what? I'll say it. I'm good at memeing, and I'm hilarious. I am hysterical.
Wow.
You're also your biggest fan.
I am also. Good. I write to myself every day to compliment myself. But seriously, they can't it's so cringe that they're climate change comedy, and this is what I hear. We need more progressive, more socially thoughtful comedy. The only problem is it's not freaking funny.
Yeah. The other thing too is they're just really bad at science. We only have about 50 years worth of actual data for hurricanes because we haven't had satellites for that long. So it's not like you can go back in time and draw this comparison throughout centuries of this is what hurricanes were looking like over the years. So we're actually using very little data in terms of determining where these hurricanes are coming from and what's actually driving, if there is an increase in them.
Well, I think that's what the entire science is we don't really know.
Yeah.
We don't know how the Earth changes and so we don't have a full understanding, but we're so arrogant that we think with this tiny subset of data, even though their models continue to be wrong and it's like constantly they're wrong, but like we're supposed to believe that they know exactly what's going on and the world's going to end and this is what's happening. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to jump on that Armageddon bandwagon until we have, actual models that prove to be legitimate.
I don't know. You guys just sound like science deniers.
Yeah, well, we went down like the serious hurricane route here. I thought we were just going to make fun of someone. When it comes to their reporting, I mean, like you can find stuff in there, and scientists will try to say certain things they really do believe are going to occur. Hurricanes is the lightest confirmation that they have. I mean, even in the UN IPCC reports, they talk about how we really don't have any certainty that there's going to be any increase in hurricanes or any increase in their strength. Hurricanes are among the weakest cases for global warming. Now, again, as you point out, he's doing a dumb meme, so I don't know that he was actually making a case about the hurricane.
But look, every time there is a hurricane, this is what happens, right?
Yeah. Right, it's global warming, yeah.
I mean, every single time.
Well, it's not even just hurricanes. It's like literally any weather
Tornadoes,
event ever.
yeah,
And
it's
they're
like things we've had
this is climate
forever.
change.
Yeah.
Well, it's true.
Incredible.
We used to do a thing on Wonderful World of Stu called another 10 things they've blamed on global warming. It was just like a 30-second series of like 10 legitimate stories, and it was everything from prostitution to like, there would be periods of temperature that were too consistent. Like it wouldn't fluctuate enough, and they'd say it's going away because of global warming. It's like, well, wait, you're saying so the more normal it is, the more it proves your point? That's what's so great about the global warming argument.
It's kind of
from
brilliant.
their perspective. It's brilliant.
It really
no matter
is.
what happens, it proves their point.
Yes.
It's unfalsifiable.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the left is that like they always put out these grand theories that are supposed to to scare everyone into submission, into getting you to do whatever it is that they want. And if you don't agree with them, then they'll make a moral argument against you that you're a racist, bigoted, homophobe or something.
I think my favorite is Beto. I think it was Beto, Robert Francis, blaming all of the influx of immigrants coming to the border. Like the border crisis is because of climate change.
It always is.
It's too hot there.
Which is
It's
caused
never
by
been hot
America,
there
of course.
before,
No.
right?
Yes.
Never been hot there before. All of a sudden it's hot, and they gotta come here.
There's a lot of tropical resorts there.
amazing.
Why did they build them there if it wasn't hot?
Yeah.
Moving on to the more media coverage of Hurricane Dorian. You would think that they would be focusing on maybe the stuff that you guys were just talking about how, the science, we need to actually be looking at the science. We only have so much data to go from. Or maybe they should be focusing on the damage that it's expected to.
I was going to say, how about just do like the news and like
the
help
damage that
people?
it's expected to do, and who should be leaving and who is in the safe zone.
Stop asking the news to do the news, please.
I know,
Yeah.
it's probably too much to ask. It's definitely too much to ask from CNN, who of course wanted to make it about Trump talking about nuking a hurricane, suggesting it, and let's focus on the really important stuff. Watch.
But let me say this. I know we're
calling him that. Call him something else.
We're tongue-in-cheeking this, but this is the president of the United States saying something about that. And he brought in Africa as Angela, as we were talking during break, he's called Africa a whole nation.
Oh, they love it.
It's actually a country, some of the countries.
Yeah.
Africa is a continent.
What?
And what part of Africa are you talking about? Sub-Saharan
news to me.
Africa, where there are
Holy
mostly
crap,
black
it is.
people? This is just crazy. There is a ripple effect that could happen for land, sea, for people if he did something like this. For this man to think this is the leader of the free world. There should be well, he's the president of the United States,
supposed to be.
Angela.
He's supposed to be.
He is the
He's supposed
person
to
who
be.
anything he does and says impacts people, impacts the globe.
Until we don't let it.
There needs to be someone who vets what he says because this is dangerous.
Wow.
This is what they're talking about on CNN.
There's a
about
lot
the
to get
hurricane.
through there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. First of all, I will say, the left loves the fact that they can now swear on the air. This is
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. They're children. The fact that Donald Trump said the S word one time.
Because we beep it.
We beep it.
But they don't.
They don't because they love to say it over and over and over again. They love to do it. It's so funny because here they do. They complain about how he's harsh into the coarse into the culture and the debate, and yet they cannot help themselves. Cory Booker loves it too. He was on stage anytime they never say asshole or crap hole or anything. They've got to say the whole word because they finally have this chance to swear on television. It's like this amazing opportunity.
You can tell by the look on their face too. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting the emphasis on the bad word.
Yeah.
But I like how they swing it around like when it had no relevancy at all.
I know.
And they find a way to still work it
I
into
know.
it. We're talking about nuking hurricanes, and I don't even know really what her point was.
Because he said they start in Africa, which is just like a scientific fact that usually come from that region. Sorry.
Don't say scientific facts. Come on.
But is the point that he wants to nuke them because they come from Africa? Because he's that racist?
Yes,
Is that the point?
yes,
That's
that's
the
her
tie-in.
point.
But, like,
Wow.
also,
I just.
I don't get it. What's the connection? Like, do black people live inside of hurricanes or something?
Is it an African American hurricane?
What are they saying? You know, it's like it makes absolutely no sense.
Someone needs to Photoshop Giancarlo's idea there with all the black people living inside the hurricane. Because if that's true, I think Trump is
then
wrong.
he is racist,
He
then.
should not be
Yeah.
nuking hurricanes.
I agree.
That is it's bizarre, right?
It's so crazy.
I guess maybe if you really want to stretch, again, they would never do this for us, but if we really want to stretch, maybe she's saying that like he actually was going to nuke hurricanes, and because it would be close to Africa, they would get nuclear fallout.
It'd be
Maybe,
fine
is that
because
what
it was
we're-
Africa?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I will say it was interesting to find out that Africa was a continent. Had no idea.
Yeah, it's
that
news to
was
me.
that was pretty amazing. I will say though, I think what is it? It's April and Angela.
Yeah.
there at the end. Like I think you have an interesting thing there because. It's almost like you have two shades of crazy liberals, right? They're going at it, and I think you have one good side and one bad side of it there. Where April was the one going crazy about all of this. She's going nuts and she's losing her mind over this and saying the president, every word he says should affects the country and the people. Well, that's bad. Right? Objectively, it's bad if one person, because they can tweet something or say something, can ruin people's days, can change economies, can change people's lives. That's a problem with our system, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be putting so much emphasis on this one person, no matter who he is.
Exactly.
And I think at the end, she says, there's all this stuff where he puts all this emphasis and it's going to change people's lives and everything else. And she says, well, until we stop letting it. Right? And that is like actually, that's sane.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand Barack Obama when he was the president of the United States. I thought he was really bad for the country, a really bad president. But at some level, it's on you if he's affecting your everyday life.
You say I agree with you, but this is also the same lady who said, "Stop calling him the president. Stop calling him the leader of the free
Again,
world."
I said she was an insane, crazy liberal, right?
Like that's what he is.
It's a better variety of that person, though. At least she can get to the point where she's not losing her own mind any more than it's already
Well,
gone.
she is kind of living in her own reality where
Yes.
Trump's not the president, which is fine. If you want to retreat to your inside of your mind and Trump's not president, like all power to you. Like if that keeps you from April rioting it on the air, that's fine with me. But at the end of the day, I mean, these people have oh God, I said these people.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Get April or Angela now.
I bet you also call them S-hole countries, Joe. Don't you?
Okay.
I mean, it's sorry.
How do I recover from this?
Well, you don't. You just
Okay.
you just
I
go
just
into
accept-
hiding.
and I
You stop doing
do I need
comedy
to
specials.
apologize?
Canceled.
Okay.
You no longer host the Oscars, I think, is the way this works.
Did I just say? Oh,
No, you're allowed to say that. That's totally fine. It's an okay word now. in television.
whole. I added whole.
Oh, okay.
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 There you go.
It's
Where
fun-
was I?
Well, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't
Move
know.
on.
We were going to this. We live in this apparently fake reality over here, where like they've got all the facts and we don't. And apparently, our reality with the whole Africa being a continent the whole time and black people not living in hurricanes, that's the insane one. The one where black people don't live in hurricanes is the insane one. And we're being taught all the time. At one point, they say something. I think she says. In there towards the end, we need people to vet these things as if there's no market for this. Like there's multiple networks. All they do all the time is vet Donald Trump's comments to the level of, Daniel Dale, who was, I know he was in Canada. I can't remember. He came to the U.S. in one paper now. But I mean, his entire life right now is just fact checking Donald Trump's everyday mundane comments he says on Twitter and in speeches. And like, there's a value for the media to go and fact check a president, a real value, but not when you do it like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it has. They've just saturated it with so much nonsense. I brought this issue up a little earlier, but like they actually fact-checked Donald Trump on whether it was raining or not during his inauguration speech. And because at one point it started sprinkling, and he said in a speech that it didn't rain. And they're like, lie! It rained during the speech. Look at the umbrella behind him. And it's like, oh, so what? What could possibly make you
And
spend part of your day doing that?
You know who else lied?
Who?
Hitler.
Oh yeah, there you go.
course.
Oh, I
Speaking of
see it.
speaking of the
course.
left can't meme, I saw a great meme, which was that it was Trump and Hitler both drinking water, and it said at the top, well, 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 because that's about the level that we've reached so far.
That's amazing. We gotta take a break real quick. We'll be back. That's so funny.
Well,
You know, Hitler was a vegetarian too, and I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, no. Good old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, man. She did that Instagram Live a couple days ago, and she has just generated so many gems.
Are you talking about
for us to
Are you
talk
talking about
about.
her lecture, her academic lecture on
Yes.
climate change?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I am talking about that, and her academic lecture on the boomers versus the millennials,
Yes.
and whether or not the new generation is too delicate to handle matters. Well, she had an answer for that. Watch.
They're not afraid to have those conversations. If anything, like, I think they're profoundly courageous because they're willing to puncture taboos and have conversations that frankly older generations sometimes struggle to have. Not everyone. I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, but I think this new generation is
You did,
connection.
though.
Okay, I think that but anyways, I think this new generation is very profound and very strong and very brave because they're actually willing to go to the streets. How about that? Like, previous generations have just assumed that government's got it.
Yeah,
Let me tell
Martin
you
Luther
something.
King did that,
You
I think.
are the government. Like, as a democracy, we the people means you. You are, as a voter, you are the government too.
I'm pretty sure that's not the way it works.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
The previous generations never taken to the
Yeah.
streets.
They were taking the streets of Poland and Germany is what they were doing. They've done a few
Normandy.
things. They were a little more brave than the Women's March. You're going to be surprised to hear this. By the way, they all fought for all the rights that you now have.
That's
Right?
what I was going to say. They were getting
Right.
beaten in the streets by police to fight for civil
Actual
rights.
oppression.
Yeah.
But the older generations, they're not quite as courageous as the hat wearing ones.
Yeah, right.
Look at her face. I thought I was allowed to say that because it's like a term, like it's like a thing.
A bunch of lines being crossed here.
It's Friday.
Well, Jason, it's been
you
nice
gotta-
having you on the show.
You've had a beer. Yeah.
Beers have you had? It's like
my third.
Okay, that's fine.
It's also incredibly like self-serving, right? Because it feels very good to like thump your own chest and say, yeah, like my generation, like we really are getting it right, and like these people before us, they were all cowards. And it's complete BS. Like we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Like our parents and our grandparents' generation, like they did some really incredible things. So for her to turn around and say, well, this is really the only generation that's ever set up for itself. Mind you, like I'm also a millennial. I think it's absolutely ridiculous and it's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to take. You could easily take this as not. She's not making an actual point here, which is very easy to say about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Has she ever
It's
made a
Yeah,
point?
right, exactly. I mean, this is basically just a politician kiss-ass tool, right? Like if you remember the long-lived campaign of one Eric Swalwell, who ran for president in 2020, did not win, as far as I know. Dropped out. One of the first people that dropped out. He had one moment in the campaign that anyone would remember, which is so telling about something like this, where he comes on the stage and he says, a politician once said that we should hand the reins over to the next generation, and that politician was Joe Biden, who said that in 1972. And it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You remember this moment?
Yeah.
So it was really cringeworthy, as everything Eric Swalwell does is. But it's like he's doing, every politician of every generation says the same crap like that, right?
Yeah.
Like Joe Biden in 1972 won his race largely by saying, I'm younger than that guy. And now people are doing it to him. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because she's in a safe district, will probably be the congresswoman there till the year 2745. And in that 2746 election, someone else will say, she's like 700 years old. I don't think she should be congresswoman anymore. And then she'll probably eventually lose, right? Like, it's part of it is just very standard. But the idea that any of that is true, I mean, that a serious person could possibly make the argument that going out in the streets today is some brave action. It's the easiest thing in the world compared to what the previous generations have found. And I will say this as well. Look back in 2010. 500,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. this week back in 2010 for restoring honor. They marched. They were not as young as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is on average. They were a little older audience, and they took to the streets because they believed in that. The Tea Party was based on going to the streets. This is I know she's like 14 years old, but she should remember the Tea Party. It's not that long ago.
Is it okay that I'm indignant as like a millennial that we are not more grateful to like
Yeah.
I agree.
life in this country is such a marshmallow
Yeah.
compared to what our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents went through. It's like, show a little dang respect and just be like, thank God my heroic act today is getting on Instagram Live or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
She doesn't have to worry about any of that. You know why? Because we're all going to be dead in 12 years anyway because of global warming.
That's
a
right.
great point.
So she's
Yeah,
the last
so my brother.
generation
That's
anyway.
a great
so.
point. I do also take issue with her bragging of, well, millennials we're educated and we're going to speak up about stuff. Like, actually, you're not.
Yeah.
The people that I see the most making the uninformed comments are all young people. And it's like, no, it's actually not a good thing that you're speaking out about something that you don't know.
Nothing is as closely correlated with stupidity as youth.
Yes.
To quote Jonah Goldberg. And
Yes.
it's true. I mean, it's just, the only way you cure that is to get less young. And it's true. Like, that doesn't mean it's an entire, like, there are very young, smart young people, of course, and dumb old people. That, of course, is true. But, it's the idea of, like, think about the person who went out and marched in a civil rights rally in 1964, right? Like, that person was dealing with legitimate, actual oppression, right? And you know what happened when they got home? They went to a house without central air conditioning. That's what they did. And they didn't play Xbox when they got back home. Everything is easier now. It's all easier. And the fact that you have the time to go out and march in the streets every freaking weekend proves it, right? You didn't have to struggle to live. You didn't have to struggle to eat. You didn't have to struggle to make it. These things are totally different. Capitalism has given people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the ability and the opportunity to be as dumb as she is, and it's one of the few downsides of capitalism.
We've never had so much I feel like we've never had so much information at our fingertips, but been so ignorant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It should not take her that long to pick up her phone instead of like live streaming herself making a bowl of pasta or something. Maybe read a book or something.
Because she saw a meme about a disease dissolving in the ice caps.
Yes.
And now that's her information that she's sharing with all of us.
It's true. That's true. All right, back in a minute.
I am surprised she can boil water, though. That is pretty impressive. I gotta give her some.
Well, in case you thought that we were done making fun of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we're not. We're not. We've got plenty more to show you, but it's going to happen in overtime. So you got to either go to BlazeTV, go to blazetv.com, and you can use promo code NEWS and get you a subscription. You can get $10 off of your annual subscription if you use that promo code. Or you can go to anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Music, I don't know, Stitcher, I don't know, all of the platforms now. There's 10 million of them. But we love them all, and you can subscribe to it there. And make sure that you rate us, give us 5 million stars. Wow. Obviously, that's what we deserve, 5 million of them. But it also helps people, it moves us up, it helps people see us so that they can hear about this awesome podcast that we do every day. So make sure you tune in, blazetv.com. Overtime starts next.
And friend us on MySpace.